All right, we are getting started here and glad everybody could be there to show here today. So hello, fellow fractional CMOs and welcome. I'm Brett Sklar, managing partner at Grow Powerful, and I'm here with show producer and marketing manager, Anna Anderson. We're live streamed, we're on our podcast, our YouTube channel, our blog, we're basically everywhere. We've even added a LinkedIn newsletter to our repertoire. So hope you like it, hope you check it out. Hope that you get to enjoy it. So before we dive into our topic today, which is the discussion about an open fractional CMO community and what does it look like, I wanted to quickly point out a couple of our upcoming shows. I also wanted to give you a chance to ask questions as we're getting things lined up for today's show. I love when I get questions. I love when people are engaging and interacting. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A and I'll make sure to hit it. Or if you want to put it in the chat, I'll hit up on that as well. We've gotten a couple of questions that came in early on as we were announcing the show. So I'll hit on those as well. So a couple of our upcoming shows. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to our podcast or subscribe to our YouTube channel or enjoying our blog, if you're in the world of fractional CMOs, or you're in the world of growth strategies for emerging B2B tech companies, I strongly recommend it. And of course, that is a very biased endorsement, but I'm going to do it anyway. We've got a lot of fun things, and especially the upcoming shows we've got coming up. On July 26th, we have a special guest and ICMO, a Grow Powerful ICMO, Raphael Carty, who's going to be discussing brand versus demand and what is the most important aspect for a B2B tech startup. On August 9th, we're going to have a fractional CMO versus a full-time CMO, and which is right for you. And we're finalizing the panel now, but we're probably going to have full-time chief marketing officers, fractional chief marketing officers, and we may have a guest CEO or two to talk through those topics and ideas. On August 26th, we're going to have a topic of the intersection of marketing, or the CMO, and operations, the COO, with our special guest and one of Grow's ICMOs, Chris Burns. And then in September, we actually are going to be bringing in one of our partners, a company called Vindux that does interim VP sales and CRO leadership placement. And the leader there, his name is Henning, and he's going to be joining me. And we're going to talk about the similarities and the differences in fractional CMO model versus fractional CRO model. So I think that'll be a very good topic. Hopefully it won't be too much of a sales versus marketing type of convo, but who knows, maybe it will be, we'll see. And we've got a lot more shows. It's going to be an exciting Q3. We've got power pack shows. We're really doing a great job of building topics and ideas based on your interest and your ideas. So thanks for the ideas, keep them coming, and we'll keep growing the show. Now, for our topic at hand, what does an open community for fractional CMOs look like? So the short answer, the Cliff Notes version is, I don't know. A community is a community because it is a community built by a community, not by one person. So if I were to tell you exactly what this community is, I would be failing the purpose of a community. There is a difference between a community, an audience, and a team. And so in this realm, a community is people with very similar interests or very similar goals that get together. And that's what we're building here. An audience is an email list. It is people who follow you on Facebook or on LinkedIn. It is places where there's more of a one-way conversation. And then a team is a very collaborative community as well, but it's very different than an open community like what I'm talking about here. Fractional CMO community we're building, we're going to call it something very simple, FRACMO, F-R-A-C-M-O. Think of it as like Gitmo, but maybe a little less torturing and a little bit more fun, but we'll find out. So here's why. Here's why we are starting a community. Here's why I am starting this community and I don't know what it's going to look like other than a couple of key things that I've seen work with community building in the past. I've spent months talking with CMOs, fractional CMOs, CEOs, VC firms, private equity firms. I'm also part of several CMO communities. A lot of it is in the B2B tech arena. I've also spent a lot of time talking with CEOs as well as owners and getting their inputs and their insights. One thing is really, really clear. There is a movement towards a fractional CMO model. It's moving quickly. It's growing exponentially. I wish I invented it. I wish I could take credit with it, but there's a couple of other groups and people and companies who have come before us that have done a great job of establishing this principle. So the movement towards a fractional CMO is here. Didn't invent it, not even close, but it is growing in popularity. It is a great option for helping companies figure out their growth. So while the concept of a fractional executive is growing, it's growing the fastest with the chief marketing officer model, particularly with emerging and growth-focused tech companies. There's been a ton of interest from fractional CMOs we talk with. And we're launching this because of that. We're launching this for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is that there's a lot of current full-time chief marketing officers out there that have a lot of fear of what a fractional CMO model would look like. Do I have to do the hunting and the farming? Do I have to do the work? How many clients can I handle at one time? A lot of these questions, and I think we can answer that in the fractional CMO community. I have several other podcasts, several other shows that are taking place, that have taken place, that talk about the different types of fractional CMOs, why a fractional CMO is a better model. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. They've got all that stuff. Look in our background. You can also go to our website, growpowerful.io, and then under there are resources, and you can find information there about the shows and the topics that we've covered already. So there's a lot of stuff that we've already covered. We're not covering the specifics of why be a fractional CMO versus a CMO, so on and so forth. What we are talking about today is building that community. And so it doesn't matter if you are independent, which is the largest group of fractional CMOs. Doesn't matter if you're already a part of a fractional executive company. It doesn't matter if you're exploring fractional CMO life. We want you to join the conversation. And one of the things I really want to do to make sure that this doesn't become a cesspool of bad insights and doom scrolling and all of this is I want to make sure that the people that are a part of this platform, and we'll talk about that in a second, what the platform is, I want to make sure that the platform is actually made up of people that have the level of experience, have the interest, and have the discipline within the CMO role or the fractional CMO role. This will be a Slack channel. And in fact, if you go to Slack and you look for add a channel of Fracmo, Fracmo, or you go to growpowerful.io/Fracmo, Fracmo, and hopefully, Anna, you can put the growpowerful.io/Fracmo into the chat here. You can also send me an email, brett@growpowerful.io. Those are the ways you can get to this Slack channel, this Slack work group we're calling Fracmo. It is of fractional CMOs. It is for fractional CMOs, and it is by fractional CMOs. And everybody else can stay the hell out. We want it to be an open forum. We want it to be open and free conversation. We want it to be Vegas rules apply. What happens in Fracmo stays in Fracmo. We want to make sure that the bosses and the underlings and the staff and the people that you're around aren't a part of the conversation. We want it to be of fractional CMOs, for fractional CMOs, and by fractional CMOs. B2B, B2C, technology, manufacturing, retail, it doesn't matter. There are a lot of people moving towards fractional CMOs, and we want this to be a community for you. So go find it in the Slack work group. Let me know if you can't find it. I'm always around and always open to take ideas, insights, questions, those types of things. So that's what it is. I don't know exactly what it's going to be because it's a community. It is not a it's not a dictatorship. It is a community. It's not for an audience. It is for open and free conversation. Now, a lot of questions have come in about this group, about this community, and I want to talk through them. Some are specific to the community, some are more generic. So one of the questions is, isn't a fractional CMO just a consultant? Probably not necessarily the right topic for this, but I want to go ahead and hit on that. The short answer is no. The long answer is being a fractional chief marketing officer is a couple of things. One is a fractional CMO should have the experience and the leadership of building something, growing something, leading a team, and using proven methodologies and processes to get past the finish line. A consultant is more adaptive, a little bit more responsible, a bit more reactive, specific to certain projects, whereas a fractional CMO really is an interim part of an executive team. Second question I've gotten, what do you mean by a community? And I've talked about this, a community versus an audience versus a company or a team. I want this to take on a life of its own. I want there to be multiple channels in this group. I want there to be a lot of dialogue. So we want to have this to be something that's for you and by you. The next question, does the world really need another community? I don't know. I think so. I think that, you can define community in a lot of different ways. Some ways might be more tailored to the audience. Some might be more tailored towards the outcomes. What I can say is that there's a lot of you that are out there. A lot of folks who are fractional CMOs that are either individual, independent people or a part of something bigger. And I think that giving a space for this community really will pay off. Another question I get, what's in it for you, Brett? Well, I'll answer that from Brett, and I'll also answer that from Grow Powerful's perspective. Quite honestly, and being completely transparent here, I have built an amazing group just within the last couple of months of fractional CMOs that I call ICMOs. And these are unbelievably top quality, proven CMOs in B2B technology. And we're at a point where we've got enough CMOs where my job is to help find opportunities for these fine humans, these fine cannibals of CMOs. And so, but I want to grow it once we get a lot of the supply for the demand that we have, or demand for the supply that we have. Sorry. And honestly, I'm looking to grow a community so I can see who the next people might be. I put an opening out for our ICMOs and I got over 650 candidates. Well, I think a lot of those candidates are a good fit for this community. And I hope that those candidates, even though they might not have gotten in the initial round of our high quality fractional ICMOs, they may be a part of this so we can work with them at a later time or date. Another question that's come in, isn't this just this another one, kind of like, what's your bias, Brett? Isn't this just a scheme for you to grow your business, Brett? Yeah, sure, it is. Because I want to grow a community. I want to really get to know people. I really want to let people shine and show off their greatness. And if I happen to see somebody and think that they're a good fit for an opportunity that comes up, yeah, I might invite them to be a part of Grow's ICMO community, which is a very different thing. It's a very tightly knit group of a small select group, whereas this one, Fracmo, is supposed to be more open. So yes, I guess ultimately it is to grow the business. Not really going to apologize for that. Okay, next one. What's the focus for the community? Again, I don't know. This is up to the community to decide. It could be that 100 people sign up for this community and it's crickets and there's no conversation. I don't imagine that. I think CMOs are some of the more outwardly spoken and well-spoken people that I've ever met. So I see there being a lot of conversation in this community. Next question. What will I get out of it? I don't know. I guess the real question is, what are you going to put into it? This is one of those things. It's a community. You get out of it what you put into it. So those are, and I don't know if there's any more to say about that. When I've been a part of communities through Slack groups, through open, Zoom meeting sessions, things like that, the people that contribute, the people who help out are the ones that tend to get more benefit out of a community. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. So what will you get out of it? I don't know. It's a community. Put something into it and see what you get out of it. That's my suggestion. We had another question that came in. Glad that the market is growing fast. Where can we find fractional CMO job posts? They're not posted on LinkedIn. So that one's a tough one. I don't imagine those jobs being posted on this community. This community, my feeling is, and again, I don't want to structure the community too much. I want to let the community structure itself. But if there's open jobs that are going on, I am concerned that there's going to be a competitive landscape or competitive windfall that happens with this community. I think we can talk about best practices. I think we can talk about things that have worked and not worked. I think we can talk about the process of finding opportunities. I'll tell you at Grow, this is one of the things that we do. So I am on about 40 different Slack channels with CEOs and VC firms. I am proactively going out to reach out to VC firms to create demand for fractional CMO. We are applying for a lot of full-time CMO jobs, offering up a fractional basis, and we're building those relationships with the VC and PE firms. I don't know if this community is going to help people find that, but I'll also say that finding opportunities isn't rocket surgery. There is a lot of conversation going on about fractional CMOs in a lot of different places. And I happen to be in a lot of those places. And so I'm hearing it. And it's one of those echo chambers that now that I'm in the places where they're talking about fractional CMOs, I see it every day. I see new opportunities, 2, 3, 4 times a day. And so there is no shortage of demand. I have put my focal point on fractional CMOs. And by doing that, I have seen a whole new world of opportunities open up. And I personally share those opportunities with my personal fractional CMO group, which are the ICMOs, but I don't share them with others. That's one of the perks of being a part of Grow and being one of our ICMOs, which is our version of a fractional CMO. Okay, so that's the majority of the questions that came in. I don't see any others. If you got other questions, shoot them over to me. I'm Brett at growpowerful.io. If you want to join the community, gosh, do you really need another Slack work group? Well, I hope this one's the one that you really enjoy looking at. But you can go to growpowerful.io/Fracmo, and I put the link in there. You can also just search for Fracmo in Slack work groups. I will be looking at who's joining and who's not, and I'll be having conversations if people are not a fit, because I do want to make sure that this is of fractional CMOs, by fractional CMOs, and for fractional CMOs, period, and nobody else. So with that, that's our show. That's our conversation. We hope you join Fracmo, the fractional CMO community. This is a journey. This is an experiment. I have no preconceived notion of what it's going to look like tomorrow, next month, next year, 10 years from now. I want to start it with this Slack group. And if we start to build momentum, I would love to see us getting on calls, maybe every 2 weeks, where we're just having conversations, maybe bringing in guests to talk. I'm a part of another great CMO group that has some amazing guest speakers to come in and talk with us. And I think there's a lot to learn. It could be on hunting strategies. It could be on what's on the mind of a CEO. We could be bringing in guest CEOs. We could be bringing in VCs to talk to us about what's going on in the world, all kinds of things. But it's a community. So I'm hoping that you, as a part of the community, will help shape where it goes and help lead where it goes. So that's it. That's the show. Keep up with us on your favorite podcasting app, YouTube, Vimeo. Subscribe to our blog at growpowerful.io, or follow our newsletter on LinkedIn. That's a new one for us, and I'm putting a lot of emphasis and energy into that. And that's all we have to say about that. Have a good day, folks.